Good evening guys, and welcome to another Moto Bob video. I think I might be having what's known as a day. I was about to make a video about fitting an indicator cancellation reminder buzzer thing, because I always forget to turn mine off, and it's quite a cheap little box that you just attach to your indicators. You just splice it into the cables and then it buzzes after like 20. Anyway, it's irrelevant because I was deciding whether to put it on the front or back indicators, and I was looking at the front indicators, which any Motobob viewer worth their salt will know are on the shrouds of an ER6N at the front there. So I was having a look at the shrouds to see where the cables run, and I noticed underneath the left-hand shroud there was some green fluid leaking out the bottom. So jump back a few months ago, and over the course of about 2 or 3 weeks there were a couple of occasions where some kids or motorbike thieves or someone like that pushed my bike over twice, once on one side, once on the other side, just for good measure. Obviously that was quite stressful, happened in the night at like 2 or 3 in the morning, so there's nothing I could do about it, and I was keeping the bike out on the road at the time. And of course it did a little bit of damage. So the first time it happened, it bent the handlebars and I had to replace them, which wasn't too expensive, but you know, could have done without the hassle. And it also damaged the shroud as well, scraped it up a little bit, bent it in a little bit, and I think at full lock the forks were catching on it, so I had to bend it back out. Then it got pushed over on the other side. It didn't break the new bars, so that's testament to the strength of Renthal bars. That's some kind of weird testimonial. But the bar and mirror bent, so I had to replace those. What else? Yeah, the other shroud got cracked. Just generally a bit of a pain. But everything's been fine since then, until I noticed this fluid, and of course I then took the shroud off, which is just a couple of bolts, and you could see that it's actually coming out of the radiator. So that's bad news. Proper bad news. And then of course my next thought was to remove the other shroud where the coolant reservoir is located, to see if it was like properly draining out. The bracket where the bolt goes in on that side was bent, so I couldn't even get an Allen key in to take that shroud off at first. I had to lever it and bend it back with a long screwdriver and then undo it, so that's damaged as well. The actual plastic tab that the bolt goes through is split, is hanging on just about, but that's split as well. And when I did manage to get it off, I could see that the coolant level is below the low mark anyway. So I think that's definitely the case. If you start to total up all the damage that it's done to the bike, like both shrouds are broken, they're probably about 50-60 quid to buy new. I don't think I'll bother replacing them because it could just happen again. New handlebars, new bar and mirrors. Now the radiator is slowly leaking. I don't know if I can just replace it with a new one. Don't know how much that'll be, but probably loads of money. Maybe I can repair it somehow, or maybe I'll just have to keep topping it up with coolant for the next however many years that I own the bike, which will cost me quite a bit in coolant, I imagine. You know, we're looking at like hundreds of pounds of damage now, and the problem is that it's not worth claiming on insurance because it would send my premium up massively. I've heard one claim will just send it rocketing, so it's not worth it. My excess is like £200 or £300 anyway, so it'd be crazy to pay that just to get that money back and then send your insurance up. It's hassle as well because I need the bike to get to work and back most days. I mean, I can get public transport. Well, what's the point in paying for a bike if you can't use it, you know? Paying for the insurance, taxing it, MOT, all that kind of thing. So yeah, it's been a massive pain. I've got some crash bungs on my desk waiting to be fitted. I wish I'd done that ages ago. I kind of assume that crash bungs were only for people who go out riding fast at the weekends or using them on track days, that kind of thing. But actually, you know, they could have saved me so much time and effort and money. I think the reason I didn't fit them when I got the bike straight away was that even on eBay, looking at the relatively cheap ones, they're like 60, 70, 80 quid, which seems like so much money for just a piece of plastic. But actually, I think the reason that they cost quite a bit is because the mount brackets tend to be specific to each model of bike, so you've got to make those as well. It doesn't really even matter. I could have saved myself so much money just by spending that money in the first place. So what I would say is, even if you're not riding track days, that could happen to anyone's bike. You could drop it if you just overbalanced when you were parking it somewhere. someone could reverse into it, or you could just drop it at low speed in traffic, or, you know, someone might drive into it, or yeah, someone could shove it over like mine. Any of those things could happen to any biker, which is, you know, unfortunate. Even Storm Doris, actually. I posted a video a while back where a load of scooters and smaller bikes have been blown over by the storm, which is crazy. Like, I would never have thought that would happen. I wouldn't anticipate that. I wouldn't think I better fit crash bungs or crash bars or something like that in case my bike gets blown over by an unforeseen storm, but it can happen. I never thought someone would shove my bike over twice in a couple of weeks, but unfortunately they did. So for me, it just makes sense to do that straight away, especially if you've got full fairings as well, because those are so expensive to replace. Although perhaps full fairings might have saved me some actual serious mechanical damage. But anyway, that's my day so far. Not having the best few days for making videos. I was up seeing my parents in Lancashire for the weekend. Went out for a great ride with my dad, only a short one, around the Ribble Valley on his BMWs, and broke 2 GoPro mounts, so I didn't get any videos of that, even though it's a beautiful day up there. So it's not been the best couple of days. But anyway, stay tuned for how to fix a radiator on an ER6N. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll replace it. Who knows? But the ultimate message is, I wish I'd have fitted crash bungs. Anyway, any recommendations for fixing radiators on ER6Ns? Please do leave them in the comments below. The cheaper the better. And if you want to see more videos like this, click subscribe.